When you're on the racetrack, you're going to see the same corner 10,000 times, but when you're rallying, you see 10,000 corners one time. That requires a specialist skill set in order to be able to quickly and easily adjust the car on the fly. Now, I am no rally specialist. I've never ever driven a rally car. So we're here with Texas Dave from the Rally Ready Driving School in Austin, Texas to learn some of those core techniques. Now, Dave is no stranger to fast cars. He is a 3 times Pikes Peak class winner even, and he's also the current Baja 500 champion in his class. So Dave, what techniques are we talking about for rally and why are they so important?
You know, most forms of racing are very scientific. You have a really key approach that says this tire, this track, this driver is going to produce this lap time. And rallying is more like an art school. So we can teach you how to mix paint, how to hold a brush, how to stretch a canvas, but ultimately everybody's going to sort of make their own art. And if you watch rally driving, like you said, you're adapting the car to a variety of different terrain, corners, with a bunch of different skill sets, but most of that comes down to one thing, and that's left foot braking.
Okay, so left foot braking, probably pretty self-explanatory. You're using your left foot on the brake. So first of all, why are we doing that? What's it actually achieve?
Right, so when you're moving your right foot from throttle to brake and back to throttle and back to brake, you're making weight transfers every time you do that. So the larger the movement off the throttle and the larger the movement on the brake, the more you're moving that weight around. So when you're on a loose surface, you already have a very limited amount of grip. And when you make those big weight transfers, that upsets the car a lot. So using our left foot on the brakes allows us to make smaller weight transfers, smaller adjustments mid-corner with the car, which allows you to turn into a corner that you haven't seen before and go, you know what, it's a little narrower, a little wider, a little slower, a little faster, and make those changes on the fly.
So allowing you to adjust the car's attitude and your line through the corner while you're already committed and mid-corner?
That's it.
Okay, so the next question is this technique of left foot braking. I know some circuit drivers use it, but it's definitely not a common technique. Why is it going to be hard for the average driver who's maybe only driven their daily driver car out on public roads? Why is it difficult to pick up that skill and perfect it?
So your left foot generally is used to using the clutch, right? So you have a very binary operation. Push it down and then you're dynamic on the way up. Left foot braking requires a dynamic foot on the way down. So the first thing that we like to do is get you comfortable using your left foot on the brake, and then from there we can take the new left foot braking skill you've learned and apply it towards cornering, braking, and linking corners together.
All right, so we're going to break these lessons down for these videos into 4 basic parts, each separated into one lesson. So can you tell us what those are going to entail?
Yeah, so the first one is just straight line braking. That's getting you comfortable using your left foot on the brakes and understanding how to find the limit of traction with the left foot braking. From there, we'll move into our skid pad, which is essentially a never-ending corner. That's where we'll isolate just the left foot braking away from the steering and the throttle, and you'll use the left foot braking to move the car through a corner. Once you get comfortable using your left foot on the brakes and left foot braking in a corner, then we'll link 2 corners together with a figure 8, low speed. And then once you're comfortable in the figure 8, we'll move to the slalom, which is linking 2 corners high speed.
Okay, sounds good. Now this technique of left foot braking, applicable to front wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, rear wheel drive cars?
Everything. It's going to be a little bit different depending on the platform you're in. So we'll change vehicles for each exercise to show you different ways to apply it in different drivetrains.
Perfect. All right, so let's talk about this first lesson. You've already given us a bit of a rundown on what it's going to entail, straight line braking. So can you talk me through what I'm going to need to learn, what I'm going to need to be doing in the car?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty straightforward. At face value, you're going to drive in a straight line. First gear, shift to second. Once you get enough speed in second gear, you'll put your left foot on the clutch, car in neutral, hands back on the wheel, transition your foot off the clutch and over to the brake. So there's 2 things that we're trying to do while we do this. One is getting you comfortable using your left foot on the brakes. The other is getting you comfortable understanding the distance between the clutch pedal and the brake pedal, and also sort of carving a new neural pathway instead of just reprogramming your existing one. Using the clutch and the brake back to back will allow you to say, this is how you clutch, this is how you brake.
So getting your brain reprogrammed for those 2 different pedal efforts and the modulation required?
That's it.
All right, and what would you say are the common mistakes that novices make when they jump in the car beside you for the first time and they try this particular exercise?
Yeah, one of them, the most common, is normally you clutch with your left foot and you brake with your right. So when we move that left foot to the brake, you go, man, this is it, I got it. And then your right foot goes on the throttle and you sit on the limiter, which is part of why we put the car in neutral before we do this. So again, clutch in, brake normally, now you're gonna brake and your brain's gonna wanna go right foot on the throttle. So that's the most common. It happens to 95% of people that get in the car. The other one is people go, nailed it. And you go, that was fantastic. Let's try that now with your left foot on the brake instead of your right. So Those are the two most common, and there's plenty of other ones, but that's what you'll most likely find.
I like that your most common problem is with this left foot braking, people not using their left foot.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
well, let's go hit it and see what I managed to stuff up.
Okay, which one do you want to take? This one, or should we just start right off in the
I reckon this one's looking a little bit more exciting to me.
It's a bit more flash.
Give it a jam.
Let's give it a go. All right, so we have 3 control surfaces as drivers and as a coach that we're able to use: eyes, hands, and feet, right? So for each exercise, I'm gonna have a different place that I want you to place your eyes, different things to focus on for your hands, and obviously different things for your feet. The primary objective, again, is left foot braking. But one of the key things to think about when you're driving a race car, especially a rally car, you have 2 hands and 2 feet. Since we're left foot braking, we're always using 2 hands and 2 feet. When you have 1 foot on the dead pedal, you have 1 hand off the steering wheel, that's a significant portion of the control of the car that you've just reduced. So we always want to focus on being sure that we have 2 hands on the wheel, which means we start with 2 hands on the wheel, reach down to shift, 2 hands back on the wheel. Same thing with your feet. You want to start, clutch in and accelerate in first, shift to second, and your left foot, if it's not using the clutch, is always covering the brake. And your eyes are basically your primary data collection mechanism. So just as the same as in road courses or anywhere else, you want to look where you want to go, as far ahead the track as you can. In rallying, obviously, that's especially critical because you're on what is essentially a new track every time you go out. So your co-driver will be there as well to sort of supplement some of that information, but especially as a new driver, it's always all about drive what you see. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll clutch in first gear. We're going to accelerate down the straightaway here, and then when I tell you, we'll go clutch in, neutral, hands back on the wheel, and left foot brake.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready. All right, so accelerating in first, eyes down the runway, shifting to second. And you're just gonna go straight ahead here, straight ahead, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, clutch in, or neutral, hands on the wheel, and left foot brake. Good. So you did the most important part, which is use your left foot on the brakes. That's always a good start.
That's a good start, yeah.
So clutch in first gear. That's it. Either dust or smoke, nobody knows.
Yeah, okay.
It might be power steering, but either way. So as we come through this corner, you're gonna turn right, back down this teardrop. What you're gonna notice is that normally in a road course car, you wanna go like that, right? In a rally car, you're gonna need more steering. And so what happens is now your hands are twisted up. So that's where we start focusing on shuffling the wheel.
Yeah.
So just think about that in the next run. Go ahead, same thing, second gear, carrying some speed, a little bit more. Okay, clutch in, neutral, left foot brake. Good, and each time you do that, think more and more about sort of modulating that pressure. It's, you know, again, in a rally car, because we don't have ABS brakes and we also don't have power assisted brakes, you have become the ABS pump. So it's a good chance for you to find that threshold. We always say press with your leg and then adjust by lifting your big toe.
Okay.
So you can make small modulations on that pedal just by lifting your big toe.
Sure.
So the faster you're going, obviously, the more time you'll have to practice that.
Okay.
Same thing whenever you're ready, clutch in first gear. Good, so this time, think about your steering, and as you turn into the corner, knowing you're gonna need a little bit more than you have, start to practice a little bit of a steering shuffle there. Good, eyes up through the corner. So we're looking back down the runway, on the throttle, unwind the wheel.
So coming to right?
Yeah, that's fine, stay to the right here. Good, carry some more speed this time. A little quicker, a little quicker. Okay, clutch in, neutral, left foot on the brakes. Good. So, your braking's great, so as we focus a little bit on that steering coming through the teardrops down here, think of your steering split into a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. So the stripe on the top of the wheel will sort of mark that left and right hemisphere. Right here's where we have optimal control of the car. The further we get from that, the less control we have. So again, in a road racing car or on a road course, you can usually get most of your steering done within your hemisphere. In a rally car, especially the Subarus have a lot more turn-in required to get the desired steering. You know going into a tight corner, you're gonna need more steering. So what I do is I'll push the wheel to here, grab it with my left hand, and I'm usually hovering one hand or the other and passing it through, if that makes sense. Again, everybody's got a slightly different style, but
try and keep the hands essentially here for control.
Yeah, there's really, you want to avoid two things. You want to avoid getting super crossed up. If your forearms touch, these tendons are in so much tension, you're not getting anything done. Or the opposite, which is the T-Rex hands, where you want to shuffle the wheel like this. Some people want to do these tiny micro adjustments. So somewhere between Stretch Armstrong and T-Rex hands. Whenever you're ready, first gear. So same thing, we'll do a couple more passes of this. So eyes up through the corner, hands focused on that shuffle coming in, looking for the exit. Nice and easy, left foot covering the brakes, off the brakes, accelerating in second gear, looking for your exit. Good, eyes way ahead. Hands at 9 and 3, and clutch in, neutral, left foot brake. Great. So if you're watching at home, again, the 3 things you want to take away from this exercise are your hands. 9 and 3 is where we have that optimal control. When you take your hands away from 9 and 3, you just need to be really mindful of how much steering you're going to need and focus on practicing how much shuffle you're going to require. That's something that's really easy to do in a road car, just when you're driving in traffic to the supermarket at road speeds. Your eyes, same thing, keeping your eyes up as far as you can all the time, looking where you want to go. In traffic, that means being 2 to 3 cars ahead minimum, and just making sure that you're not target fixating on the things you don't want to hit. And then your feet, again, you can practice left foot braking even in an automatic car, just very gently. First time you try it, put your left foot on the brakes and squeeze sort of as slowly as you can, getting comfortable with that. And the more comfortable you get with it, obviously, the more speed you can pick up and practice that when you're on the racetrack.
Definitely takes a little bit to develop that feel for the modulation of the pressure compared to using a clutch pedal.
Yeah, and again, especially in the rally cars, because since we're using the left foot brake and the throttle simultaneously, we've eliminated that vacuum assist, because the vacuum assist on a power brake system is obviously going to change your brake feel based on the RPM. So if your RPM changes, your pedal pressure and your pedal feel will change, and that's a nightmare. So
here we've got a much firmer pedal, but it's always going to be consistent.
Yeah, and part of the reason we want it to be much firmer is when you're going over bumps and you're trying to carry consistent braking, if you're in a factory-equipped vehicle with that brake booster, those bumps are going to cause your foot to move a little bit, and so you'll be accidentally modulating the brakes when you don't want to.
Perfect. All right, so we finished that straight line test. How did I do?
I mean, you're here, right? Car's in one piece, you're in one piece. I'm in one piece, most importantly. You did great, man. I think, that's it. You're a rally driver. That's really all there is to it, at least for lesson 1.
So I should hit up M Sport for a drive next season?
You're good. M Sport, Pro Drive, you name it.
So I think I'm probably a little bit fortunate because I have done a little bit of left foot braking already, given that I use that technique for tuning. So I'm a little bit more familiar with that modulation required, but even so, trying to brake at maximum effort here on a loose surface is a struggle, just to get your head around the fact that you're using a different foot on that pedal. It's just not natural, but obviously practice makes perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, you notice that, like we said, even with experience, you get in the car and you're like, oh, there's still this muscle memory that it happens for everyone. So working through that, obviously getting a little bit of seat time and having somebody sitting next to you, helping you kind of understand what's going on, and sort of like we said, sort of carving that new neural pathway. That's really the key foundation. And like we mentioned before, the idea with this stuff is, as fundamental and as basic as it is, it's super important to have really, really, really solid fundamentals that you can build all of your driving career on top of. And that right there, that's step 1.
Now, it's important to also mention that while we're here at the Rally Ranch and we're testing this in a closed circuit on a loose surface, this is a technique that those watching at home can actually start building up in their daily driven car.
Yep.
Obviously, with a little bit of care being taken, but you can practice and start getting that familiarity with the modulation and the feel required.
Yeah, so, obviously on a loose surface, there's several things that we want to be, want to notice and want to pay mind of, which is the loose surface. We want to have a very stiff pedal, right? We want to have a non-power assisted brakes. So we want to eliminate that vacuum assisted booster. One, because it's easier to learn when you have a stiffer pedal. You're, again, used to that sort of binary clutch foot. Moving that over and making it a dynamic brake foot requires a higher pedal effort. In addition to that, obviously, the stiffer the pedal, the easier it is when you're going over bumps. When you have a really sensitive vacuum-assisted pedal, going over bumps on loose surfaces, you're going to accidentally modulate that pedal. So that makes a big difference. But even in a factory car, vacuum-assisted, you can go into a parking lot and at 5-10 miles per hour, as slow as you want, you can still accelerate and then transition over and just gently apply your left foot on the brakes. The things to be mindful of the first time you try it is, again, your left foot is used to just pressing a clutch pedal down. So the first thing that generally happens is your face makes it halfway to the windscreen. And so obviously be very mindful of that and be really, really careful the first time you try applying that left foot on the brakes, and be as gentle and as sensitive as possible. And just slow repetition, you can kind of build that confidence. And when you have access to a facility like this, and you're on a closed circuit, you obviously can increase the speeds.
All right, well, I think I'm pretty confident with the straight line braking, so let's move on and we'll see how we can adapt that with some other aspects of those 4 lessons. And if you're watching at home and you've liked what you've seen here, keep an eye out for the remaining 3 lessons in this series. If you like that video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you're subscribed. We release a new video every week. And if you like free stuff, we've got a great deal for you. Click the link in the description to claim your free spot to our next live lesson.